the hour of humiliation. According to Jewish law, when a death sentence was pronounced, two court sessions had to take place. At least one day had to pass between these two sessions, and the intervening time was to be spent by the members of the court fasting. However, these men could not wait until the next day to confirm their decision that Jesus must die. They waited only 1 hour. Meanwhile, Jesus was left in the audience chamber under the watch of the temple guards, who, along with the servants of the high priest, amused themselves by subjecting the Son of Man to every kind of humiliation. They mocked and spat on him and relentlessly beat him. They struck him many times in the face with a stick and then said, "Prophesy to us, you who are the Savior, who was it that struck you?" And so they continued for a full hour, taunting and abusing this man from Galilee who offered no resistance. During this tragic hour of suffering, in which Jesus was mocked by these heartless guards, the Apostle John waited in solitary distress in an adjacent room. When this mistreatment began, Jesus had signaled to John with a nod of his head that he should withdraw. Jesus did this because he did not want John to witness the coming humiliations. He feared that John might not be able to restrain himself and that his protest might lead to serious consequences. Throughout this entire dreadful hour, Jesus did not speak a word. For this gentle, sensitive soul, no draught from the cup of his humiliation was more bitter than this terrible hour in which he was subjected to these ignorant and cruel servants. They seemed to have a free hand, having been emboldened by the high priest himself, who had also struck Jesus. And they followed the example of the members of the Sanhedrin by mocking and abusing him. The heart of man can scarcely grasp the shudder of indignation that swept through the universe as the heavenly beings had to witness this scene. Their beloved sovereign submitted to the will of his ignorant, misguided creatures in this sin-darkened world. What is this animal trait in man that causes him to mock and physically assault what he cannot spiritually achieve or intellectually grasp? In the half-civilized man, there still lurks a savage brutality that seeks to vent itself upon those who are his superiors in wisdom and spiritual attainment. Behold the evil brutishness and violent cruelty of these so-called civilized men, who derived a certain form of animalistic amusement from torturing the Son of Man. Though these insults, scorn, and blows struck Jesus, he did not defend himself. Though he endured all this helplessly, Jesus was not defeated. He simply did not fight back in the material sense. At 5:30, the court reconvened, and Jesus was brought into the adjoining room where John was also seated. Here Jesus was guarded by the Roman soldiers and the temple guards, while the court began formulating the charges that would be presented to Pilate. Annas made it clear to his colleagues that the accusation of blasphemy would carry no weight with Pilate. Judas was present at this second session, but he did not testify. This session of the court lasted only half an hour, and when they adjourned to take the case to Pilate, the charge against Jesus, as guilty of death, was framed under 3 main points. 1. That he was corrupting the Jewish nation. He deceived the people and incited them to rebellion. 2. That he taught the people to refuse to pay taxes to Caesar. 3. That he, by claiming to be a king and the founder of a new kind of kingdom, incited disloyalty to Caesar. This entire procedure was irregular and completely contrary to Jewish law. Not 2 witnesses agreed on any point, except those who testified regarding Jesus' statement about tearing down the temple and rebuilding it in 3 days. It was a mockery, for even on that point, no witnesses were heard in defense, nor was Jesus asked to explain what he had meant. The only point on which the court could have consistently condemned him was that of blasphemy, and this would have rested entirely on his own testimony. And now they had formulated 3 accusations to present to Pilate. Accusations without hearing witnesses, and without the accused prisoner having had the chance to defend himself. When this happened, 3 Pharisees withdrew. They wanted Jesus to be put to death, but without witnesses and in his absence, they did not want to bring accusations against him. Jesus did not appear before the Sanhedrin again. They did not want to see his face once more while they judged his innocent life. Jesus did not know their formal accusations until he later heard them expressed when he stood before Pilate. While Jesus sat in the adjoining room, and the court was in its second session, Some women who were in the palace of the high priest, along with their friends, came to see the strange prisoner, and one of them asked, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of God?" Jesus answered, "If I tell you, you will not believe." At 6 o'clock that morning, Jesus was led out of the house of Caiaphas to appear before Pilate, to ratify the death sentence that this court of the Sanhedrin had so unjustly and irregularly drawn up.